Call the Senate to order. Mr. Clerk, please read the roll.
Barnett, Blackman, Blackwell, Blunt, Boyd, Branning, Bryan, Butler, Carter, Kaufman, Chazanall, Chisholm, DeBar, Delano, Doty, England, Filligane, Frazier, Harkins, Hill, Hobson, Horn, Jackson of the 15th, Jackson of the 11th, Jackson of the 32nd, Johnson, Jordan, Kirby, McCollum, McDaniel, McLendon, McMahon, Michelle, Moran, Norwood, Parker, Parks, Pope, Seymour, Simmons of the 12th, Simmons of the 13th, Sojourner, Sparks, Suber, Tate, Thomas, Thompson, Turner, Ford, Whaley, Wiggins, Witherspoon, Younger. Mr. President, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are you going to pray, Mike? Wine's going to pray? Will Senators please rise for the invocation given by Senator Juan Barnett, and then the pledge will be delivered by Senator Seymour. Senator Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let us pray. Father God, we begin to find ourselves here in this place, not because of how good we've been, but because of your grace and your mercy. And Father God, we pray today that as we conduct this business, Father God, help us to be on one accord. But most importantly, our Father, is to help us be on your accord. Father God, help us that when we make decisions today, that we can see you in all that we do. And Father, we ask that as we go throughout this day, that you just continue to have your presence in this place. This we pray in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Now the reading of the journal. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate dispense with the reading of the journal.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Message and petitions, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, there are none.
Thank you. Committee reports. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Mr. President, I move the Senate dispense with reading of committee reports.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the committee reports. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Next, the reading of titles, bills, and resolutions. Recognize Senator Polk.
Mr. President, I move the Senate dispense with reading of the titles of bills and resolutions.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the titles, bills, and resolutions. All in favor signify by saying aye. All
Aye.
opposed, no. The ayes have it. We want to move to the calendar quickly today, and I will recognize Senator Wiggins for a request.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. President. Ask for unanimous consent to suspend the rules and go to item number 123 on the calendar.
Senator asks for unanimous consent to suspend the rules and go to item 123 on the calendar. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate nomination number 36, Sean Jeffrey Tyndall, Gulfport, Mississippi, Mississippi Department of Public Safety as a Commissioner of Public Safety. Term effective June 1st, 2020, and appointee shall serve at the pleasure of the governor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Be allowed to explain the nomination.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Judge, Senator, other public servant Tyndall came before the Judiciary B Committee and went through the grilling of the committee, presented a lot of good information. It was going to be a close vote, but ultimately the committee advanced the nomination. And it's something that we bring before you and asked you to consider your vote on this. I will say he's been working the floor to gather the nomination, to gather the votes, particularly of the class of 2012. So I present the nomination of Sean Tyndall for DPS Commissioner to the body, Mr. President, and call for ask for passage on the morning roll call.
Is it motion for advising consent?
I'm sorry. Yes, the motion is to advise and consent. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. We have a motion of advising consent on Mr. Tyndall. All signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay.
No.
The chair is in doubt. All those in favor.
I move to no, I don't.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Congratulations,
He will
Commissioner.
be good.
Thank you. Commissioner Tyndall had to be advanced as he's attending the funeral of the deputy sheriff that was murdered in Simpson County today. And the flags are at half staff as we remember him, killed in the line of duty. So we'll go back to the calendar. Senator Hobson. Senator Barnett would be recognized. Thank you, Senator Hobson. Senator Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we suspend the rules and take up item number 124 on today's calendar, Senate nomination number 33.
All in favor of suspending the rules, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate nomination number 33, Nathan Burrell Kane, CCE, Mississippi, Mississippi Department of Corrections as Commissioner of Corrections. Term effective May 21st, 2020.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I bring to you the nomination of Mr. Burrell E. Kane for the Department of Corrections. As Chairman Wiggins said earlier of our new Department of Safety Commissioner, that Mr. Kane, I thought was asked many questions by the committee. I think that he answered the questions, and I think that he touched on a lot of things that we would like to see done in the Department of Corrections. And based upon the vote yesterday of no one voting against him in committee, I would ask this morning that we advise and consent on this by the use of the morning roll call.
No, just a motion. There'll be just a motion. And first we'll ask, are there any questions concerning this issue? Seeing none, we're ready for your motion. I'm sorry, Senator Horn. You're recognized for what purpose? We yield for a question, Senator.
Question, Mr. President.
We yield for a question. Please proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I don't serve on the Corrections Committee, so I didn't have the opportunity to ask questions, but this candidate is not without controversy. There have been a number of observations that during the time that he was the Corrections Commissioner or heading the prison at Angola, that there were a number of questionable activities that he was associated with. How did he respond if he were asked questions about that? How did he respond in committee?
He responded, I think all the members of the committee can attest to this, is that he answered the questions very honestly. We all thought that he answered the questions, and there was even documentation that basically said that those things that were alleged to him was, after investigation, was not found to be true.
Mm-hmm. And given where we are with our prison system, there's been a lot of unrest. There have been a lot of uprisings and demonstrations. There's a question of prisoner safety. Was he asked questions with regard to those issues as well?
He was, and prior to him being asked those questions, I was invited to attend, to go to Parchman with him, not knowing what his motives were, but when we went, he wanted to, something that really stood out to me is he wanted to see what kind of food was being served to the inmates. And I think he ate maybe 2 spoonfuls of it and told those individuals there that this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. And he made that same statement in committee on yesterday, is that you know, we have to make sure that our prisoners are taken care of, even down to the food that they eat. So I feel like this individual is sincere, and I think that he's going to come in and do us a good job.
And did he attest to any consideration of doing additional testing of inmates for the COVID-19 virus?
Yes, he even spoke to that, is that he would make sure that that's done and that it would be published for everyone else to see and not hiding anything.
Has he undertaken the increased testing of inmates at this time, or is that something that he plans to do in the future?
That's something that he plans to do as soon as we can confirm him, so that he can act, so that he can really go to work and do those things that he has said that he would do.
And is it your estimation that he's the best possible candidate for the Corrections Commissioner?
I think so. Again, as I said previously, that, you know, there was individuals involved in this process, and those individuals selected 3 individuals whose name they submitted to the governor for his decision. So I trust the individuals that was part of this election process, and if his name was submitted by these individuals to the governor, then yes, I think that he's going to do a good job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Horn. Senator Whaley, for what purpose you seek recognition?
Question.
For you for question, Senator.
Yes.
Please proceed, Senator Whaley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, Mr. Kane, he was from Angola, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, Angola was home to a very, very famous rodeo. Has he said anything about possibly bringing back the Parchman Rodeo?
He haven't said anything to me about bringing back the Parchman, the rodeo to Parchman, so.
Okay, well, I was just wondering. Thank you.
Did you want to participate, Senator Whaley?
I would.
I think you could. I think you still could. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, Senator, we're ready for your motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we advise a consent on the morning roll call.
No, it'd be
Motion,
just
I'm
by
sorry.
motion. That's correct, by motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. I'm sorry. One present, Mr. Pope. I'm sorry. It's just a voice vote, so we don't vote present on those, Senator Fraser and Senator Horn. All right. So it's just a voice vote. Now we go back to the calendar. Senator Hobson. Senator Barnett, thank you. I know, Senator Polk, I keep messing it up.
So we got it. We got it straight.
Right. We did, yes, sir. Your light was on, my bad. All right, Senator Hobson, you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we go to item 1 on today's calendar and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 524, Disaster Assistance Trust Fund, expand use and increase maximum amount that may be transferred to.
I make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Thank you. I move adoption of the strike all amendment and I ask that you recognize Senator Delano to explain it.
We're on the strike all for explanation of strike all. Senator Delano, you're recognized.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is the this is the Disaster Assistance Trust. As you know, from time to time we have natural disasters that occur across the state that cause additional expenses to MEMA. This actual account is where the money is used to help our locals and to help MEMA with the response and other state agencies for the response. The last couple of years, we've had quite a few instances that have required a drawdown of cash. This general bill will change the way that the way money is transferred, the amount of money that's transferred from the Working Cash Stabilization Fund into the Disaster Assistance Trust Fund. We're adding a section that will allow for alternative housing grants to be granted during these natural disaster events. And then we're also adding a new section to allow MEMA to help with municipalities and counties to apply and receive funds for debris removal, not have to wait on FEMA to reimburse them, so it helps them with a cash crunch situation, which is very important to our rural areas in our state. With respect to the individual events, we're going to increase the amount that can be moved from the Working Cash Stabilization Fund from $500,000 to $1 million. And for the aggregate for the entire year, we're going to go from $1 million to $2 million. And that's an explanation of the strike all.
Any questions on the strike all? Senator Horn, for what purpose you seek recognition?
Question.
You for a question, Senator Delano.
Absolutely.
Senator Horn, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Delano. Senator, I've not had a chance to read the committee amendment. And my question is, a lot of times when there is a natural or man-made disaster, particularly natural disasters, cities and counties wait weeks before determining who's going to handle the debris hauling, who's going to handle the monitoring and all that. Is there anything in this measure that would allow for a pre-selection process for folks who are in need of having debris cleaned and having the monitoring aspect decided?
I know that over the years, MEMA has worked with emergency managers across the state to try to help in those exact situations. And I think that a lot of those pre-contracts that you're referring to are done at the local level. And if there is a state disaster that's declared, then that will allow for cities, and in fact, we added an amendment in this bill for that very purpose, to give a quicker response and a quicker transfer of cash to our local jurisdictions to help with those exact issues with debris removal and such.
Okay, but I guess my question is, federal law already allows for this. I don't know if state law does, but a lot of the experiences that municipalities and counties have had is that MEMA has often frowned on that pre-selection process. So it just takes weeks before work can get started. It would seem to me that we would want to have a way already in place in the event of a disaster that folks can just plug in and go to work. Is there anything in this bill that encourages that?
Yes, sir. Actually, that's why we're changing the general law to help MEMA with those planning efforts down at the local level. And remember, a lot of the things that you're referring to with the federal disasters they do take more time to declare than obviously a state disaster that the governor has the ability to declare. So with this amendment that we're making, it's going to free MEMA up to be able to use some of those funds quicker and before that federal disaster comes.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions on the bill?
Move adoption to strike all.
Senators, move for adoption of the strike all. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Senator, we're back on the bill.
Okay, if there are no further questions, I'd move for adoption based on morning roll call.
Senators, move for adoption based on the morning roll call. Does anyone object to the procedure? Does anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Voting no. Any present? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, the bill has passed. We'll go to Senator Hobson. As we'll go to Senator Hobson, that was your only bill. Go to Senator Harkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to skip items 2, 3, and 4 and have them retain their place on the calendar and go to item number 5 and have the title read.
2, 3, and 4 will retain their place on the calendar. Item 5, 1730. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 1730, bonds authorized for various purposes.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator Harkins.
Thank you. I'd like to move we adopt the strike all. I'd like to be recognized to explain it.
Please, you're recognized to explain the strike all.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the House version of the bond bill. We did a strike all and put the Senate language in here that we have already passed. The only difference is we added a code section for the rural the Water Pollution Control Revolving Fund. That's the only code section that wasn't in ours that was in this bill. So basically, it's the Senate position, and there is a reverse repealer because it's going into conference. So that's the explanation of the bill. There were no changes in any of the amounts from the Senate position that we passed on the floor.
Questions on the strike all? Questions on the strike all? Seeing none, Senator, we're ready for...
Move adoption of the strike all.
Senator moves adoption of strike all. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Senator, we're back on the bill.
Move final passage on the morning roll call.
Senators move final passage on the morning roll call. Does any senator object to the procedure? Does anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? One. Senator McDaniel, no. Any others? Any others present? Any present? Seeing none, the bill is passed. Mr. Clerk, the bill is passed. Senator Harkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to go to item number 6 and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 1748, income tax revised definition of gross income.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Move we adopt the strike all and be recognized to explain it.
You're recognized to explain the strike all.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the bill that we're using to address some of the issues with the PPP program and any state aid from the Coronavirus Relief Act that we passed here for the Back to Business Grant Mississippi program. On line 111 of the bill is a definition of what gross income is, and it says the words gross income do not include the following items of income which shall be exempt from taxation under this article. And if you flip over to line 371, it begins with amounts received as advances or grants under the Federal Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Says any and all canceled indebtedness provided for under the Coronavirus Relief, Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. NN says amounts received as payments under Section 4 of Senate Bill 2772, 2020 regular session. And OO states on line 377, amounts received as grants under the 2020 COVID-19 Mississippi Business Assistance Act. This should take care of any concerns that any businesses have on taxation of these funds. We stated before that we were not trying to tax any of these grant proceeds, loan proceeds that eventually turned into grants. If your businesses are wondering, this is the bill that's going to take care of that. There are no questions. I move adoption of the strike all.
Any questions from the Senate? Any questions? Seeing none, Senator, we're ready. Senator has moved for adoption by, of the strike all. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Senator, we're on the bill.
Move final passage by the morning roll call.
Senator moves for final passage by use of the morning roll call. Any senator object to the procedure? Any senator wish to be recorded as voting no? No. Seeing none, any present? None. Mr. Clerk, the bill has passed by use of the morning roll call. We go to Senator Kirby. Senator Kirby is somewhere. Pass on the rules. Rules calendar will go to local and private. Local and private, Senator McMahon. Pass. And, all of the items from 7 to 17 will retain their place on the calendar. Items 18, 19, 20 to 23 will retain their places on the calendar. Motions to reconsider. Seymour, Harkins, or DeBar. Any motions to reconsider? Pass, pass, pass. From concurrence or non-concurrence, Senator Younger. Items 24, 25, and 26 will retain their place on the calendar. We will move to item 27. I'm sorry, go back to 24. We'll go back to 24. Year 26, I believe. 27? Okay, so 24, 25, and 26 retain their place on the calendar. We're on 27. Senator Younger, you're recognized.
Whoops, I messed up again. We're on... Need to pass that one, Mr. President.
Pass on 27. 28, Turner Ford. Senator Turner Ford. Pass, or are you? Senator Turner Ford. Senator Turner Ford is recognized. Number 27 will retain its place on the calendar. 28. Senator Turner Ford is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request that item 27, 28 on today's calendar be called up and read.
Senate Bill 2277. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2277, Department of Mental Health, authorizes the sale of certain state-owned property located in the city of Meridian.
Request the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, what we have before you today is a amendment that has come back from the House. When the bill originally passed the Senate, it was to authorize the Department of Mental Health for property to be sold by that department. I think it was less than a half acre. All parties and those entities that were involved in the county were in agreement. When the bill came back from the House, there was a provision that was added to authorize property that had been donated to the County Board of Supervisors of Tallahatchie County for the purpose of building a fire department. The County Board of Supervisors has decided they do not want to pursue that project and they want to be authorized to reconvey that property back to the original grantor. The motion is that we do concur.
Motion for concurrence. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The motion for concurrence passes. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Next, Senator Bryan. Pass. For concurrence and non-concurrence calendar, Senator Jackson passes. Senator Bryan passes. Senator Seymour, pass. Senator Doty. Senator Doty is recognized. Items up to 32 retain their place on the calendar. We're on 33. Senator Doty is recognized.
Thank you. I would go to item number 33, Senate Bill number 2212, and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2212, County Jail Census Data, facilitate availability of.
I make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
So if you'll recall, this is a bill that sets up a task force only let's see, it is someone from the Sheriff's Association, Prosecutors Association, the State Public Defender, a circuit court judge appointed by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and the Commissioner of Corrections. And the task force is given the responsibility of gathering information about our county jails and the best way to keep up with that information. And all the House did was change one of the dates that the task force should get together and meet and organize by August, and our bill had July. So that is the only change. Certainly we want to give them time to organize, and the motion is we do concur.
Senator is recommended for concurrence. Any questions of the Senator? Any questions? Seeing none, Senator has made a motion to concur. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, Senator. Thank you. Senator Polk? Good. Okay. Senator Doty, 35. 34 retains its place on the calendar. Senator Doty is recognized for item 35 on the calendar.
I would go to that item, call it up, and ask the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2273, State Port Authority, extend repeal or provision allowing the use of design build method of contracting.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
The House did not make any changes. We would ask that we concur on the bill.
Concur on the bill. That's item 35. Any questions from the Senate? Any questions? Okay, Senator, we're ready for a motion.
Motion is we do concur.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion for concur passes. 36, Seymour. Senator Seymour passes. Senator Bryan, not in. Senator Doty on 38. On 38, passes. Bryan is not here. Senator Younger on 40. Senator Younger on 40.
Thank Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call up the item and have it read, please.
All the items from 35 on, 36, 37, 38, 39 retain their place on the calendar. Item 40, Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2725, hemp, create the Mississippi Hemp Cultivation Act.
We'd like to make a motion to concur.
That's correct. And Senator makes a motion to concur. Do we have any questions on the bill? Any questions on the bill? Seeing none, we have a question. Senator Hobson, you're recognized for what purpose?
Question, Mr. President.
Will you yield, Senator Younger?
Yes, sir.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tell us what changes were made in this bill from what passed earlier.
Over in the House, they allowed that a private entity can come in and start up a processing plant.
That's the only change that was made?
Pretty much, yes.
Pretty much, or
It is.
exclusively?
It is. Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions on the bill? Any questions? Seeing none, we're ready for your motion now, Senator Younger.
Make a motion. Morning roll call, please.
This is just an
Make a motion to concur.
All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The concurrence is recognized. I'm sorry, Senator Hobson.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Do we not have an opportunity to vote no on that measure? I think that's should be on final. This is on final passage, correct?
Yes.
One moment. It's on the concurrence calendar.
I think it should be a roll call.
MDAC.
Point well taken, Senator. It is final passage. It's on the concurrence calendar, but it will be final passage, so the motion will be use of the morning roll call. Senator Younger. Your motion would be use of the morning roll call.
Motion to use some morning roll call.
Chairman and the Senate has asked for use of the morning roll call. Does anyone object to the procedure? Seeing none, we'll ask for voting no on the bill. Mr. Secretary, would you help me with this and make sure we get them all? Senator Hobson, Senator Chisholm, Senator Jackson, Senator Seymour, Senator Whaley, Senator Parker, Senator Branning, Senator McMahon, Senator Fillingame, Senator Horn, Senator Butler, Senator McClendon, Senator Norwood, Senator Barnett, Senator Simmons, Senator Thomas, Senator DeBar, Senator Jordan, Senator Tate, Senator Fraser. Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, Senator Angela Turner Ford. Senator Ford. Okay, we're going to read the names back, please. I'm doubtful as to passage. One moment.
Yes, he was. Voting no or nay? Okay. Hobson, Chisholm, Jackson up to 15, Seymour, Whaley, Parker, Branning, McMahon, Fillingane, Horn, Butler, Norwood, Barnett, Simmons of the 12th, Thomas, DeBar, McMahon, Ford, Turner Ford, Frazier, Tate, and Jordan. McClendon.
you give me the totals, Mr. Clerk? I'll read them. And how many yeas? 30. 29. 29 yeas, 21 nays. The bill fails. We go to item 41. Senator Hobson.
May I ask a question, Mr. President, before we move on to the next item?
Yes.
And also for a motion to reconsider. The first is the question on what was the number of people on was 29, 51 on the morning roll call? Is
50.
that
50.
50. So there's 20, what was the vote count?
29 to 21, Senator.
29. Thank you, Mr. President. Then I would like to hold that item on a motion to reconsider. Thank you.
To the chairman. 41. Senator Hobson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to go to items 41 through 98 on today's calendar, with the exception of item 54, which is the appropriation for military department. I'd like to take those items up in block for purposes of inviting conference. And I would ask that at the appropriate time that the clerk read the titles to each of those bills.
Okay, do we have a question, Senator Jackson, before we start? He's good. Senator Jackson is good. So are you asking for clerk to read?
For motion to take those items, again, with the exception of item 54, up in block, and ask that the clerk read the titles.
Pardon me? That's a voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And so we will ask Mr. Clerk to please read the titles.
Senate Bill number 2926, Appropriation IHL Subsidiary Programs. Senate Bill number 2927, Appropriation IHL Student Financial Aid. Senate Bill number 2928, Appropriation IHL University of Mississippi Medical Center. Senate Bill number 2929, Appropriation IHL Alcorn State Agricultural Programs. Senate Bill number 2930, Appropriation IHL Mississippi State University Agricultural and Forestry Experimentation. Senate Bill number 2931, Appropriation IHL Mississippi State University Cooperative Extension Service. Senate Bill number 2932, Appropriation IHL Mississippi State University Forest and Wildlife Research Center. Senate Bill number 2933, Appropriation IHL Mississippi State University Veterinary Medicine College of. Senate Bill number 2934, Appropriation Community and Junior Colleges Board Administrative Expenses. Senate Bill number 2935, Appropriation Community and Junior Colleges Board Support for Community and Junior Colleges. Senate Bill number 2936, Appropriation Corrections Department of. Senate Bill number 2937, Appropriation Public Safety Department of. Senate Bill number 2938, Appropriation Emergency Management Agency. Senate Bill number 2940, Appropriation Veterans Affairs Board. Senate Bill number 2941, Appropriation Judicial Performance Commission. Senate Bill number 2942, Appropriation Ethics Commission. Senate Bill number 2943, Appropriation Employment Security Department of. Senate Bill number 2944, Appropriation Revenue Department of. Senate Bill number 2945, Appropriation Tax Appeals Board. Senate Bill number 2946, Appropriation Workers' Compensation Commission. Senate Bill number 2947, Appropriation Mental Health Department of. Senate Bill number 2948, Appropriation Tennessee Tom Bigby Waterway Development Authority. Senate Bill number 2949, Appropriation Transportation Department of, State Aid Road Construction Office of. Senate Bill number 2950, Appropriation Chiropractic Examiners Board of. Senate Bill number 2951, Appropriation Dental Examiners Board of. Senate Bill number 2952, Appropriation Funeral Service Board. Senate Bill number 2953, Appropriation Massage Therapy Board of. Senate Bill number 2954, Appropriation Pharmacy Board of. Senate Bill number 2955, Appropriation Councils Board of Examiners for Licensed Professionals. Senate Bill number 2956, Appropriation Veterinary Examiners Board of. Senate Bill number 2957, Appropriation Gaming Commission. Senate Bill number 2958, Appropriation Architecture Board of. Senate Bill number 2959, Appropriation Geologist Board of Registered Professionals. Senate Bill number 2960, Appropriation Motor Vehicle Commission. Senate Bill number 2961, Appropriation Accountancy Board of Public. Senate Bill number 2962, Appropriation Contractors Board of. Senate Bill number 2963, Appropriation Agriculture and Commerce Department of. Senate Bill number 2964, Appropriation Egg Marketing Board. Senate Bill number 2965, Appropriation Animal Health Board of. Senate Bill number 2966, Appropriation Fair and Coliseum Commission. Senate Bill number 2967, Appropriation Fair and Coliseum Commission Livestock Shows. Senate Bill number 2968, Appropriation Banking and Consumer Finance Department of. Senate Bill number 2968, Appropriation Finance and Administration Department of. Senate Bill number 2970, Appropriation Governor's Office and Mansion. Senate Bill number 2971, Appropriation Audit Department of. Senate Bill number 2972, Appropriation Information Technology Services Department of. Senate Bill number 2973, Appropriation Personnel Board. Senate Bill number 2974, Appropriation Secretary of State. Senate Bill number 2975, Appropriation Treasurer's Office. Senate Bill number 2976, Appropriation Debt Service General Obligation. Senate Bill number 2977, Appropriation Development Authority, Mississippi. Senate Bill number 2978, Appropriation IHL General Support. Senate Bill number 2980, Appropriations, Additional Appropriations for various state agencies for fiscal year 20. Senate Bill number 3011, Appropriation Department of Health for COVID-19 expenses incurred by hospitals for fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21. Senate Bill number 3012, Appropriation Department of Finance and Administration for COVID-19 expenses incurred by municipalities and counties for fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21. Senate Bill number 3013, Appropriation Department of Education, IHL, and Community College for COVID-19 expenses for fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21. Senate Bill number 3014, Appropriation Department of Finance and Administration for COVID-19 expenses for fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Senator, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we do not concur but invite conference on all of those measures.
Any questions concerning inviting conference? Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You're on 54, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we call it up and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2939, Appropriation Military Department.
Make the usual, I'm sorry, move that we do not concur but invite conference.
And your motion, Senator?
Move that we do not concur but invite conference.
Motion, any questions? Any questions? Motion is do not concur and invite conference. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're back on the calendar. Senator Harkins. Senator Harkins. Senator Barnett, I'm sorry. I see your lights on there. For what purpose you seek recognition?
Introduction of resolution out of order, Mr. President.
Please proceed. Senator Jackson. Good.
Introduction of resolution out of order.
Please proceed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we're on 99 to, one moment please, Mr. Clerk, 99 to 110 on the calendar. Those are in conference calendars, and I would remind the chairman, please, let's work together and so we can get our conferees named. We will pass on those and go to 110, unless someone wants to bring up any of those. Mr. Clerk, would you read the titles of 99? Of which ones? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll get to those. Just one second. So 99 to 109, and we're back on the calendar on 110. And Mr. Clerk, would you read the resolutions, please?
Commend life and public service of former Senator and Representative Malcolm Mabry of Dublin, Mississippi. Commend Larry Edward Duncan of Hattiesburg, Mississippi for being named an extraordinary educator for 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, we're back on the calendar. Number 110, Chairman Wiggins, pass. Chairman Chasnall, 11, pass. Kaufman, pass. Hill, Chairman Hill, 113, pass. 114, Chairman DeBar. Chairman DeBar is recognized. 110 to 113 will retain their place on the calendar, and Chairman DeBar, Senator, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Call up item 114 and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate nomination number 4, William Malden Billingsley, Madison, Mississippi, Mississippi Charter School Authorizer Board, term effective immediately and ending August 31st, 2020.
2022, I think that is.
2022,
Yes,
sorry.
sir. Okay. All right, Senator, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Explain, Mr. Billingsley came before the Education Committee, was questioned thoroughly, examined thoroughly. After a lengthy question and answer session, the committee did move to advise and consent, and I'm here to make that motion this morning, but I'll yield for any questions if there are any.
Any questions? Senator Hobson. Senator Hobson passes on his question. Any other questions?
If there are no questions, I move that we do, my motion is that we do advise and consent in Mr. Bill Billingsley.
Motion to advise and consent concerning Mr. Billingsley. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator. We're back on the calendar. Senator Hobson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to seek unanimous consent to withdraw my motion to reconsider on item 40 on today's calendar.
Senator seeks unanimous consent to withdraw his motion to reconsider. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. You have unanimous consent. Please proceed to 115, House Bill 115, Chairman Whaley. Chairman Whaley. Senator Whaley, are you good on that? Pass. Senator DeBar? Pass on 116. Thank you. Senator Polk? Senator Polk is recognized on 117 on the calendar. 115 and 116 retain their place on the calendar. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call up item 117 and ask the title be read.
Senator asks for the title be read. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 1253, State Fire Academy designated as an authorized medical first responder training program. Mr. President, I'd like to be recognized to explain the bill.
You are recognized for explaining the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill allows the State Fire Academy to be able to take care of training 3 different classes of emergency personnel, especially for the volunteer fire departments. It'd be all fire departments, but primarily for the volunteer fire departments. Pertinent language begins on line 127. It describes the 3 classes of training. It gives the State Fire Academy the ability to do that as long as they meet the certain certifications that are required. And also, their students would be certified after they pass the appropriate testing, and they would be certified by the State Health Department. And before I take questions, Mr. President, I'd like to introduce an amendment to this bill.
Senator, please place an amendment on the calendar on the screen where everyone can see it.
Okay.
We're on the amendment.
Okay. On
Senator,
the amendment, what this does is we, after some conversations with the Community College Board, who also offers this training, and the State Fire Academy and some police and fire chiefs across the state, we determined that we needed to limit the number of students that they'll be able to handle at this appropriate procedure. So what this bill does is limits the State Fire Academy to train right now only 120 of the 3 different classifications. In other words, total of 120, but they can be in any one of the 3 classifications. That's the amendment to the bill, and it begins, as you see, on line 132. If there are no questions, I'd like to move for passage of the amendment.
Any questions? Senator Sparks, you're recognized for what purpose?
A question, Mr. President.
You for a question. Senator Pope.
I do.
Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is the limitation to 120 just due to being able to process? Is it a money issue? Why the limitation?
Primarily because the community colleges had some angst about this bill because they train this same personnel, and they were considerably concerned of how it might affect them and their programs. So we felt like for the first year out especially, we need to limit to 120, and that was the number that was mentioned by the Fire Academy that they wanted to train.
Okay, so the Fire Academy was also good with that number?
I don't know that they're good with that number, but that's the number they kept telling me yesterday that they wanted to train.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions on the bill? Any other questions? We're on the amendment. Senator McClendon. For what purpose you seek recognition?
Question, please.
We yield for question, Senator.
I do.
Senator, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is all firefighters, not just volunteer. It includes municipality firefighters, all of them.
Anyone who is trained at the State Fire Academy can get this training.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator McClendon. Any other questions? Any other questions? Seeing none, we're on the amendment.
Move to passage.
Senator moves passage of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Back on the bill, I think, at this point.
Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'd ask that we pass the bill as amended on the morning roll call.
Pass has been requested on use of the morning roll call. Does anyone object to the procedure? Does anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Anyone no? Any present? Seeing none, the bill has passed by use of the morning roll call, Mr. Clerk. Senator Moran, you're recognized. Senator Moran passes. Senator Younger? Senator Younger passes. Senator Jackson? Senator Jackson is recognized. Item 120 on the calendar. Items 118 and 119 retain their place on the calendar. Senator Jackson is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to go to item 120, House Bill 684, and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 684, forced acreage tax, extend repeal or on statute requiring counties to levy.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 684 will continue to allow counties to levy 9 cents per acre, and these funds will be used for forest fire protection. And also on line 40, House Bill 684 deleted the repealer, and also this bill will take effect when and after passage. And no question, Mr. President, I move adoption on the morning roll call.
Any questions on the bill? Any questions on the bill? 120. Seeing none, Senator's made the motion to passage on the morning roll call. Does anyone object to the procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Any present? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, the bill has passed. Senator Sojourner votes present. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. With that correction, the bill has passed. We go to Senator Barnett. Senator Barnett passes 121. Senator Wiggins. Senator Wiggins is recognized for 122. 121 retains its place on the calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Go to item number 122, House Bill 1295. Call that up and ask the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
House Bill number 1295, the Life Equality Act, create to prohibit abortion based on certain factors.
Mr. President, I'd ask that Senator Fillingame be allowed to present the bill.
Senator Fillingame, you're recognized for presenting the bill.
Yes, we need to make the usual motion, Mr. President, on this one. You've already done that? Okay.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill is entitled the Life Equality Act of 2020, The Section 2 gives some legal examples of how the United States Supreme Court has been zealous in vindicating the rights of people, even potentially subjected to race, sex, and disability discrimination. Section 3, you'll see, are the definitions used in the Act. And so you really get to the meat of the Act in Section 4, and what it says is that abortion may not be performed because of race, sex, or genetic abnormality except in a medical emergency. So lines 125 through 134 states specifically that this section requires the physician to first confirm that the abortion is not being sought because of race, sex, or presence or presumed presence of a genetic abnormality except in a medical emergency. This must be documented in the patient's chart as well as in the report with the Department of Health. Lines 135 through 149, this section requires that except in a medical emergency, a person shall not intentionally or knowingly perform, induce, or attempt to perform or induce an abortion of a human being if the abortion is being sought because of the actual or presumed race or sex of the unborn human being or because of the presence or presumed presence of genetic abnormality. Lines 142 through 169 states that in every case of abortion within 15 days, the doctor shall file with the State Department of Health on a form supplied by said department a report containing the date of the abortion, specific method of the abortion used, whether the race, sex, or presence or presumed presence of any genetic abnormality had been detected at the time of the abortion by genetic testing, ultrasound, or other means, a statement confirming that the reason for the abortion as stated by the maternal patient was not because of the unborn human being's actual or presumed race, sex, or presumed presence of any genetic abnormality, and the probable health consequences of the abortion and specific abortion use. The physician shall sign the form, and it shall not contain the name of the maternal patient or any other identifying information that would make it possible to identify the patient. Section 5 deals with the reporting forms, lines 170 to 176. The department shall create the required forms within 30 days after the effective date of this section. The reporting requirements by the providers do not start until 10 days after the forms have been made available or July the 1st, 2020, whichever is later. Then Section 6 deals with criminal penalties, which is not applied to the maternal patient, only to the physician should he or she not abide by the letter of the law here. And it states that any physician who intentionally or knowingly violates the prohibitions in sections 4, subsection 1, or subsection 2 of this act shall be guilty of a felony and shall upon conviction serve not less than 1 nor more than 10 years in state custody. A woman upon whom an abortion is performed, induced, or attempted in violation of this section shall not be prosecuted for conspiracy to commit any violation of section 6 of this act. This language is similar to penalties previously passed by the House and the Senate and other similar legislation. Section 7 deals with professional sanctions and civil penalties, starting in lines 186 to 197. It states a physician who intentionally or knowingly violates the prohibitions of sections 4, subsection 1, and or subsection 2 of this act commits an act of unprofessional conduct, and his or her license to practice medicine in the state of Mississippi shall be suspended or revoked by the State Board of Medical Licensure. The physician is also subject to a civil penalty or fine up to $500 per violation of delivering a report to the department known by him or her to be false. And then Section 8 deals with the Mississippi State Attorney General's Office having the authority to bring an action in law or equity to enforce provisions of this act on behalf of the Mississippi State Department of Health or the Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure. And then Section 9 deals with the construction language, which is typical, in Section 10, the severability language, which we're used to, and that is essentially the bill. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions on the bill? One moment, please. Senator Jordan, for what purpose you seek recognition?
I have a question, Mr. President, to the chairman.
Will you yield for a question, Senator?
Yes, sir.
Please proceed, Senator.
What are some of those genetic, is that for all genetic abnormalities?
Well, it speaks to genetic disabilities or malformations. What it's getting at is Down syndrome, essentially, and other similar chromosomal defects, which you'd be familiar with having your history in the classroom dealing with the science and chemistry and biology and your former career, Senator Jordan. You know that in some instances you have what's called a trisomy, meaning there are 3 sets of chromosomes as opposed to the typical 2 sets. And for instance, with Down syndrome children, they have 3 sets of chromosome, I believe it's number 21. So it's an additional set of chromosomes which causes the different problems that they have to endure. Of course, it is not life-threatening in most cases. These children can and do live many, many years and provide, tons of love and family. So that's what it's getting at.
Can all of this be determined before parturition? What from the zygote? In other words, you're talking about something before birth.
Right.
And at what, during the 9-month session, when can you realize that the zygote, the image of the child takes place?
Yes.
At what months are you talking about?
Well, this does not speak to a specific time. Some of our previous bills on these topics actually set a limit of, so many weeks, 15 weeks or 20 weeks or whatever. This bill does not speak to a specific time limit, a term or a number of weeks. It just says that all it really boils down to is if, as you were saying, some of these issues can be detected prior to birth, obviously, with today's modern technology, which is way different than it used to be, of course, even a couple of years ago. Now, in many cases, you can determine the sex of the child. If you're having a boy or a girl, or twins or whatever. You can know, obviously, the race of the child. You can know if there are some abnormal situations like Down syndrome. So those are things that can be now known prior to birth, and really that's what this legislation speaks to. It says all the protections that we provide to folks like me and you, after we are fully born and citizens, applying to disability discrimination, 1964 Act discriminations for sex or race, the 14th Amendment that we should all be treated equally under the law, all those protections that we apply and fight so hard for, in many cases, to living people that are walking around here today, we're simply saying those same protections, to the extent known, not everything can be known, of course, but to the extent we know about those things, that those protections ought to be provided inside the womb as well.
Yeah. And this is how many months after pregnancy?
It doesn't speak to a month, a time. It just says if you know, at whatever point in the pregnancy that you know that you cannot, if the reason you're seeking an abortion is because of the child's sex, race, or because of a disability previously known but prior to birth, that you can't abort because of those reasons.
Wow. Okay, I just wondered. And
this goes on. Obviously, we have evidence, we have studies from other countries. For instance, in a recent Supreme Court decision in 2019, just last year, in the Kentucky versus Box case, in a concurring opinion, Justice Thomas really wrote a very interesting concurring opinion in that matter, and there's some really interesting quotes that he delves into how this practice goes on in many parts of the world. For instance, in Iceland, the abortion rate for children diagnosed with Down syndrome inside the utero, meaning before birth, approaches 100%. And your other European countries have similarly high rates, and the rate even in the United States, which obviously hits closer to home, for Down syndrome children is close to 67%. So in 67% of the cases where children are known to have Down syndrome in our own country, in many cases, those pregnancies are terminated before birth.
And if it can't be detected, then you have penalties for those who seek abortion at those period of time.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
At this time, you can determine
yes.
These abnormalities early occur in both. So therefore, that is caused by an extra set of chromosomes.
That is correct. It's called trisomy 3, which means three sets of chromosomes.
But you're supposed to have normally only 2 sets.
Right.
23 pair XX and 1 pair XY in a normal condition, but another set of chromosomes shows up. That's why you have that tri thing there. Now, what causes this? Is this inherited?
It is. It's
inherited from great from generation to generation?
Right. It's genetic, malformation. It has, as you said, chromosome number 21 is the specific chromosome that there's a third set of chromosomes on the Down syndrome children. Also, there's a trisomy on the 18th chromosome, which is referred to as Edwards syndrome. There's a trisomy on the 13th pair syndrome called the Patel syndrome. This deals with organ abnormalities, children born with really small heads, for instance. The Klinefelter syndrome is an extra set of chromosomes as well. So there are multiple chromosomes that can have 3 sets.
Yeah.
We're most familiar with the Down syndrome situation, but there are others as well.
But the third set causing this abnormality.
Yes.
And I'm with you that since there is a third set sometime, whatever the reason for causing it, then that person should not have an abortion to avoid that third set, even if they know in time, months before parturition. So therefore, what you are saying, that person, and I think we all agree with that, has a right to be born, even though he or she may have a third set. We ought not to have an abortion because of the abnormality that we learned early before parturition.
Precisely, because as you will well note, once those children are born, they're entitled to all the same protections against discrimination based on their disability.
Well, I agree with that. It shouldn't be any discrimination with the well-born or the malo.
That's all we're saying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator. Any other senators' questions on the bill? Senator Fillingham, do you have an amendment?
I would move that we adopt, I think this is a strike all, that we move to adopt the strike all.
We have a strike all on the
Or
bill?
as amended, I'm sorry, it's just as amended. So no, there's no strike all on this one. We would just move adoption.
I don't believe you've put your amendment in order, Senator.
Okay.
You need to we first need to show your amendment, please. Propose your amendment. We don't have the amendment on the floor yet.
Okay, I would just move that we adopt the committee amendment.
Okay, we have questions on the amendment. It's on the screen.
That's what I've been describing, is the amendment. And the only thing this bill does that the House bill didn't is there was a reverse repealer in the House language. We have simply removed the reverse repealer. That is the only change from the House language to this language before you.
So we have the bill as amended. Any other amendments? Senator Simmons. I'm sorry, you need to move to adopt.
I move to adopt the amendment.
Senator Fillingham has moved to adopt the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're on the second amendment. Senator Simmons, you're recognized for your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, if I have to say so myself, I think this is one of the best amendments that we've had all year. This amendment simply strikes the entire bill and insert in lieu thereof, starting at section 1, a woman's reproductive decisions shall be made by the woman, her family, her physician, and her God. And I'm asking for unanimous support from this body regarding this amendment.
Questions on the amendment? Questions on the amendment? Senator Parker, for what purpose you seek recognition?
Question, Mr. President.
Will you yield for a question, Senator?
Yes, Mr. President.
Senator Parker is recognized.
I think I misheard you say, so it simply strikes the entire bill and inserts this in lieu of that? Is that the amendment?
That's correct, Senator.
Okay, I wanted to be sure I heard that right. So that's not quite as simple an amendment as you might think. Thank you there.
My good friend, Senator Watson, is on the floor. I think this is something he would have done if he was here.
Senator McDaniel, you're recognized for what purpose?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, I had the same question, and I think it's clarified that this basically would gut the entire bill to add this language, correct?
That's correct, Senator McDaniel.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Acts as a strike all. Okay, questions on the amendment? Senator Fillingham is recognized to speak on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, this is a killing amendment. We would oppose that. If you want to protect children, both born and unborn, against discrimination based on race, sex, or the disability of the child, you need to defeat this amendment and send this bill on to the governor. Thanks.
Anyone else? So the motion, go ahead, Senator Simmons, you're ready.
On closing, the language is very clear. We all should agree that reproductive decisions should be made by a woman. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a woman, and certainly these difficult decisions should be made by that particular woman, her family, her physician, and her God. And so I ask for passage of this amendment by roll call vote, Mr. President.
I have a question from Senator Jordan. Do you have a question, Senator Jordan?
You said by the mother, by the family, the physician, and the parent of said.
And whoever her God is.
What if? What about the child that is to be born? If suppose they said it doesn't have the right to live because of its handicaps that you can see before it's born, doesn't it have a right to live? It exists. I know under a number of conditions where people, I don't know what people may say, but I think it still has a right to be born. You not think that?
Well, Senator Jordan, I'm not speaking on whether or not it has a right to be born or not. What I'm saying is these are very difficult decisions, as I understand them.
I understand how difficult they are, the nature of it. But does it have a right to be born?
Certainly. But whatever decision should be made, because these are difficult decisions, I'm simply proposing that those decisions should be made by that woman, her family, her doctor, and her God. Whatever decision is made.
If that's a negative decision made by those that you've named to abort the child, do you think that should be?
Whatever decision in conjunction with all those individuals.
I don't know about that. Okay, thank you. I just wanted a clarification.
Okay,
Thank you, Senator Jordan, for the question.
Senator Jordan, thank you. Did you request roll? Is that what you requested?
I did, Mr. President.
Okay, would all the senators return to their desk, please? We need 6 or more. If you return to your desk, please. 1 minute while everybody goes back to their desk. Everybody, please be seated, except those 6 or more for a roll call. Please stand. Secretary, will you help me count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 6 or more. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Barnett, Blackman, Blackwell, Blunt, Boyd, Branning, Bryan, Butler, Carter, Kaufman, Chazanall, Chisholm, DeBar, Delano, Doty, England, Fillingane, Frazier, Harkins, Hill, Hobson, Horn, Jackson of the 15th, Jackson of the 11th, Jackson of the 11th, Jackson of the 32nd, Johnson, Jordan, Kirby, McCon, McDaniel, McClendon, McMahon, Michelle, Moran, Norwood, Parker, Parks, Polk, Seymour, Simmons of the 12th, Simmons of the 13th, Sojourner, Sparks, Suber, Tate, Thomas, Thompson, Turner Ford, Whaley, Wiggins, Witherspoon, Younger, Barnett, Blackwell, Blunt, Boyd, Bryan, Carter, Kaufman, Chisholm, Delano, Hobson, Horn, Jackson of the 11th, Jackson of the 32nd, Simmons of the 13th, Suber. Voting yes or yay: Barnett, Blackman, Butler, Frazier, Horn, Norwood, Simmons of the 12th, Simmons of the 13th, Thomas, Turner Ford, and Witherspoon. Voting no or nay: Blackwell, Boyd, Branning, Chazanall, Chisholm, DeBar, Delano, Doty, England, Fillingane, Harkins, Hill, Jackson of the 15th, Johnson, Jordan, Kirby, McCawn, McDaniel, McLendon, McMahon, Michelle, Moran, Parker, Parks, Pope, Seymour, Sojourner Sparks, Suber, Tate, Thompson, Whaley, Wiggins, and Younger. Voting present: Jackson of the 32nd.
Senator Jackson, for what purpose you seek recognition?
To the vote.
To the vote.
To Nancy Pear.
Pear?
If Senator Kaufman was here, he'd vote no, and I vote aye.
Pear with Kaufman. Thank you, Senator. Senator Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Inquiry.
Yes, sir.
How did Senator Hudson vote?
He voted with Senator Pope.
He voted what?
He was not present today. The amendment fails, 11 yeas, 34 nays. So we're back, Senator Fillingane, I think we're back on the bill. The amendment has failed.
I would move adoption based on the morning roll call.
We have one more amendment, I believe. 1 second, please. One moment, please. Senator, you're recognized on the amendment. Is it on the screen, please? Senator, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I really was not going to offer anything on this bill. I did oppose the removal of the reverse repealer because I think that the bill needs some more work. As we were listening to Senator Fillingane respond to questions, and we were at page 6, line 126, and then we got down to 128, where we used the word confirmed. And Senator Fillingane's response to the use of that word was that all the physician had to do was ask a question. When I read the word confirmed, I think that goes beyond asking a question. My concern with the bill as it is proposed is to protect a physician who has encountered a maternal patient who may have ill intentions, and that physician's license, as well as the imposition of criminal penalties, will be at risk if this bill passes in its current form. I am glad that the drafters have taken the position to protect the rights of the unborn, specifically as it relates to race. I'm also equally glad for those protections as it relates to the gender of the child and those who have genetic abnormalities. I do think that if this bill passes as it is, a physician's license and criminal penalties are in question. I would ask that you adopt the amendment by deleting the sections as indicated there, and I move for adoption.
The amendment. Senator Fillingame, would you like to speak on the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. President, and I respect greatly my colleague, Senator Turner Ford, is a good friend of mine. She's a wonderful legislator, very bright attorney as well. Obviously, we oppose her amendment because the only reason the House placed the reverse repealer into this bill was to make sure that the Senate didn't have any problems with it. We vetted it in committee. There were no amendments offered there, and now we're on the floor the 11th hour on deadline day. Clearly, this is being used as a tactic to try to delay and prolong this debate, send it back to the House for more debate and whatnot. You're either for protecting the children based on age, race, and abnormalities of some genetic chromosomal background, or you're not. And I take Senator Turner Ford at her word that she is, and I'm glad that she's with us on those provisions. But there really is no necessity to further work on this bill. Confirmation is simply you ask, and then you notate in the chart, and you notate on the form to be provided by the State Department of Health. That's the only confirmation required by this language. It's very clear, very understandable. Mens rea talks about intentionally and knowingly defying the language of this bill. So if someone were to be falsely accused, it's very simple to defend. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready on the motion. Motion to adopt the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. No. The noes have it. The amendment is defeated. Senator Fillingame, you're back on the bill.
I move adoption by use of the roll call.
Moves adoption by use of the morning roll call. Does anyone object to the procedure? Anyone have an objection to the procedure? Please call the roll, Mr. Clerk.
Barnett, Blackman, Blackwell, Blunt, Boyd, Branning, Bryan, Butler, Carter, Kaufman, Chazanall, Chisholm, DeBar, Delano, Doty, England, Fillingame, Frazier, Harkins, Hill, Hobson, Horn, Jackson of the 15th, Jackson of the 11th, Jackson of the 32nd, Johnson, Jordan, Jordan, Kirby, McCon, McDaniel, McClendon, McMahon, Michelle, Moran, Norwood, Parker, Parks, Polk, Seymour, Simmons of the 12th, Simmons of the 13th, Sojourner, Sparks, Suber, Tate, Thomas, Thompson, Turner Ford, Whaley, Wiggins, Witherspoon, Younger, Barnett, Blackman, Blackwell, Boyd, Bryan, Carter, Kaufman, DeBar, Frazier, Harkins, Hobson, Horn, Jackson of the 32nd, Turner Ford. Voting yes or yea: Blackwell, Boyd, Branning, Chazanall, Chisholm, DeBar, Delano, Doty, England, Fillingane, Harkins, Hill, Jackson of the 15th, Johnson, Kirby, McCollum, McDaniel, McLendon, McMahon, Michelle, Moran, Parker, Parks, Pope, Seymour, Sojourner, Sparks, Suber, Tate, Thompson, Whaley, Wiggins, and Younger. Voting no or nay: Barnett, Blackman, Blunt, Butler, Horn, Jackson of the 11th, Jordan, Norwood, Simmons of the 12th, Simmons of the 13th, Thomas, Turner Ford, and Witherspoon. Voting present: Jackson of the 32nd.
Senator Barnett, for what purpose you seek recognition?
To the vote, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
I'd like to announce a pair. If Senator Carter was here, he would vote aye, and I vote no.
Pair with Carter. Senator Horn, for what purpose you seek recognition?
To the vote, Mr. President.
To the vote. Senator, proceed.
To withdraw my vote and announce a pair. If Senator Kaufman were here, he'd vote aye. I vote no.
Pair with Kaufman. The bill passes 33 yeas, 11 nays. Senator McDaniel, for what purpose you seek recognition?
I'd like to enter a motion to reconsider on item number 40 on today's calendar. That's Senate Bill 2725.
To the chairman. Senator Parks, do you have an announcement?
Yeah, I'd like to make an announcement at the appropriate time.
Please proceed.
Immediately following recess, I ask that Universities and College Committee meet for about 5 minutes in room 216. We have a confirmation to do.
216. Senator Horn, coming to you. Senator Horn, for what purpose?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to enter a motion to reconsider on item number 124 on today's calendar, Senate nomination number 33.
Number 124, to the chairman. Senator Simmons, for what purpose you seek recognition?
I'd like to enter a motion to reconsider, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
to item number 122 on today's calendar, House Bill 1295.
To the chairman and Senator McCon. For what purpose you seek recognition?
Motion to reconsider.
Please proceed.
I would like to enter a motion to reconsider item number 52 on yesterday's calendar, House Bill 1095.
1095, Mr. Clerk. To the chairman. Anyone else? Senator Wiggins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'm going to embarrass her. I'm going to ask Karen Quilter to come up here. If y'all don't know, she is retiring. Friday is her last day, and Judd B. has completed our work, and I just want to say for myself, and I think my predecessor's commissioner, Sean Tyndall, Senator Hobb Bryan, Chairman Hobb Bryan, that Karen, you keep us on track. And the work that you have done for the last 7 years? No. Oh, 20, yeah, okay. So she's done a great job. I couldn't have done it without her in this position. And the lawyers, I think, who are chairman. So thank you, Karen, for what you've done in all your years of service. And let's just give her a round of applause for her work. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senate will miss you, Karen. All right, Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in recess until 1:30 this afternoon.
Senator moves to stand in recess until 1:30 this afternoon. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We stand in recess. Senate is in session. Senator Harkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that we hold item number 5 on yesterday's calendar, House Bill 1087, on a motion to reconsider.
Any questions from the floor? Senator Wiggins.
And
for what purpose you seek recognition, Senator Wiggins?
Motion to reconsider at the proper time.
Thank you very much. We're on your motion to reconsider first, Senator Harkins. Any questions on Senator Harkins? All right. We join the chairman and we proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of House Bill 1087 on the motion to reconsider.
Senator's made a motion to reconsider the rules. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to go that item and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read title.
House Bill number 1087, alcoholic beverages, revised policy of the state regarding prohibition of possession of.
My motion is that we reconsider the vote by which the bill passed yesterday, and I'd like to be recognized to explain why.
Please, you're so recognized. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to bring this bill back up. There was some discrepancy on the effective date of the bill. It had it as January 1st of 2021. There were some provisions in another part of the law that had that date in there, and it was actually supposed to be July 1 of 2020. So after we the motion to reconsider the vote, I'll be offering an amendment just to change the effective date of that bill.
Any questions from the Senate? Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
All right, Mr. President, I have an amendment, number 2, to House Bill 1087, and that is to, I think you got it up on the screen, is to change the effective date from January 1, 2021 and insert July 1, 2020. That is the explanation of the amendment.
On the amendment, any questions from the Senate? Any questions?
Adoption of the amendment.
Senator moves adoption of the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Next, Senator Seymour. For what purpose you seek recognition?
Where was this at on the calendar?
Yesterday's calendar.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Seeing no questions, I move adoption on the morning roll call.
Senator moves adoption on the morning roll call. All those in favor signify. Sorry. If anyone opposed to the procedure. Does anyone wish to be? Do you oppose the procedure, Senator? No? Okay. Does anyone wish to record as voting no? Voting no. Mr. Secretary, will you help me with that, please? Senator Jackson, Senator Parker, Sparks, Branning, Norwood, Seymour, Jordan, Butler. Anyone else? Sorry, Chisholm. Frazier on the right. Sorry, Hillman. Apologize. Anyone else? Would you please read them back, Mr. Clerk? Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Fillingane, was that a no vote? No. Senator Fillingane, no. Okay, would you read the no votes, Mr. Clerk?
Voting no or nay, Branning, Butler, Chisholm, Fillingane, Frazier, Jackson of the 15th, Jordan, Norwood, Parker, Seymour, and Sparks.
Senator Suber, for what purpose you seek recognition?
To the vote.
To the vote.
I'll announce a pair. Senator Tate will vote no, and I will vote yes.
Tate is no. You got that, Mr. Clerk? Suber is yes. Senator Jackson.
To the vote, I vote present.
Present, Senator Jackson. Anyone else present? Anyone present? Okay, Mr. Clerk, what do we got?
No votes.
Bill passed with 11 no votes, 1 present. Okay, we're back on the calendar. Does anyone wish to bring up an item on the calendar? Senator Hill. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask to suspend the rules and go back to number 113 on the calendar, House Bill 415 on the general calendar.
Senator is asked to suspend the rules. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Back to 113, Senator.
Okay.
Mr. Clerk, please read the
title, please.
House Bill number 415, counties authorize boards of supervisors to pay county employees every 2 weeks.
I think I need to adopt strike all.
Please explain the strike all.
Motion to adopt strike all.
Okay, that'll be after.
Oh, make the usual motion, I'm sorry.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Please, your own explanation of the strike all.
Okay, basically this is just the Senate language that we already passed, allowing the Board of Supervisors to pay county employees every 2 weeks. If we can just pass the House bill, that may be one less bill we'll have in conference. I had to amend it because they left out Justice Court judges. So that's all this is just the Senate language on the county pay for every 2 weeks. There are no questions.
Any questions on the strike all? Okay, Senator, we'll entertain your motion.
Motion to adopt strike all.
Motion been made by Senator to adopt the strike all. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Senator, on the bill.
Okay, I'd like to ask for passage on the morning roll call.
Senator requests passage on the morning roll call. Is an objection to procedure? Anyone wish to record as voting no? Seeing none, the bill is passed. Mr. Clerk, on pursuant to the morning roll call. Back on the calendar, does any senator wish to bring up anything on the calendar? On the calendar. Seeing none, we'll go to Senator Polk. Do we have any announcements, by the way, before we, I'm sorry, Senator Harkins has an announcement. I apologize. 1 second, Senator Polk. Senator Harkins, you're recognized for announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I want to remind everybody to make sure any tag bills you have get to the attorney for Finance Committee, Ian. We're trying to get our list together and want to make sure we got everybody listed in that bill that had a tag bill. So be sure you get your list to him because we'll be finalizing that for a conference report shortly.
Thank you, Senator Harkins. Senator DeBar, for what purpose you seek recognition?
Announcement.
Please proceed.
Education will meet 5 minutes after adjournment in room 216. We have one bill to take up, as well as 9 o'clock tomorrow morning in room 216. We have one confirmation hearing to take up. And also I have an adjourned memory at the proper time.
Please proceed with adjourned memory. I think we only have one left.
Dr. Adjourned memory in Leanne Thompson. She's from Lucedale, Mississippi. She passed away on Friday, a long-time employee of the Secretary of State's office, Medicaid, very young lady, good attorney, and she will be missed.
She will be missed. She was outstanding. It was just shocking at her age and her abilities. It was a loss to Mississippi. Okay, Senator Wiggins.
Motion to reconsider, Mr. President.
Okay.
Would like on yesterday's calendar, House Bill number 63, House Bill number 1559, human trafficking, commercial exploitation, enter a motion to reconsider.
Thank you, Senator. To the chairman. Next, Senator Suber. For what purpose?
An adjourning memory.
Please proceed.
When the Senate adjourns today, I would like them to do so in favor of Jacoby Cooper. He was a 16-year-old that passed away on the Shannon football team.
I saw that. Thank you, Senator. Senator McMahon, for what purpose?
For an announcement, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
There's a calendar correction. Local and private will not meet tomorrow morning because of other conflicts on the schedule, but local and private will meet tomorrow at 1 p.m. or upon adjournment tomorrow afternoon. And Senators Senators Horn, Tate, and Blackwell, you'll have bills before the committee.
Thank you, Senators. Senator Kaufman, you're recognized for what purpose?
Announcement.
Please proceed.
Just a reminder, at 9:30 tomorrow morning, Business and Financial Institution will meet in room 407 for a confirmation hearing, room 407.
407, Mr. Clerk. Senator Sparks, you're recognized for what purpose?
Adjourn in memory, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Thank you. When the Senate adjourns today, I ask that they adjourn in memory of Paul Morris, longtime resident of Iuka in Tishomingo County. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Anyone else? Anyone else before we go to Senator Polk? Any motions? Any other announcements? We all good? Good? Right. And that Senator Seymour's bill on the so it's not on the general calendar? Okay. Okay. All right, Senator Harkins.
Want to also announce Finance will have a meeting tomorrow at 1:30 in room 216. We have 2 more nominations to take up.
1:30 and 2:16. Thank you. Anyone else? Last chance. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in recess until 5 p.m. today, at which time the Journal will reflect that we're adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Senate stands in recess till 5 p.m. today, in which case we will commence at 10 a.m. in the morning. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We stand in recess. Stand adjourned, I'm sorry.